All right, today I'm going to give you some brutally honest truths that I think once you understand these and adopt these, it will give you an unfair advantage in your job search, in your pursuit of landing your next 200K to 500K plus job offer. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Gaurav Villani, and I'm the founder of Career Sprout, which is a career coaching company that helps senior level professionals in tech here in the United States land 200K to 500K job offers. And to date, we have now helped 800 plus clients land these types of offers. And I know definitively, since I have direct access to what they did, what they didn't do, the mistakes they made, the interviews they went on, since I have direct access to everything, I know that they either A, knew about these harsh truths before coming into our program, or they learned them once they were in the program. And then not only did they learn them, they, by exploiting these brutal honest truths, they got that unfair advantage that I'm talking about. And these are things that I learned even in my own career that helped me land 2 7-figure job offers. It also helped me become one of the youngest executives of a publicly traded company. It also helped me when I built my first staffing agency, which we were able to grow to 72 million in revenue. And it's the same harsh truths that have now again helped 800 plus of our own clients. So I'm really excited to dive into them. And then the last thing I just want to say is once you learn these, you're going to realize something really cool. It's something most people don't even realize that that they would think is cool, which is it's not that these things are going to help you land a 200K to 500K job offer. That's the actual win. It's the fact that you now know how to land 200K to 500K job offers indefinitely. And I don't know, once you know how to do that, it just unlocks so many different types of things for you, for our clients, for me, for the people who depend on you, right? It allows you to save more. It allows you to invest more. It allows you to show up for your loved ones in a way that's actually supportive for them. It allows you to sleep better. It gives you so many more options of where you can live, what you can eat, what you can wear. Can you go on vacation? Can you invest in private school? Or can you afford tutoring for your children? I mean, to me, it's never the fact that you got the 200K and 500K job offer. That's what's awesome. It's what it allows you to do. And it's the reason I'm so excited to share these with you. So these harsh truths helped me, helped our clients, and I hope that they help you as well. And it's only for those who want to land 200K to 500K life-changing job offers. They want to work for meaningful companies. They want to do work that they're proud of. They want to grow their career forward. It's not this video. If you're the type of person who just wants any job, you don't care what that is, you don't care about your career, then this is not your video. All right. All right. So let's jump into it. The first hard truth is you need to get used to rejection and you need to redefine failure. It's like two truths in one. Get used to rejection and redefine failure. Here's what I've learned throughout my own career. I've been laid off 10 different times. No, I'm sorry. I had 10 different jobs in 6 years. In that time frame, I also got laid off twice. I tried building a company. We raised $1 million. We lost 760,000 of that within the first 16 months before it eventually grew to 72 million in revenue with 81 employees. I've been rejected after so many interviews. My clients have been rejected after their interviews, and I work with some really cool clients, and all of them have been rejected at one point or another throughout their career. And so I want you to know that anytime you are trying to step into an expansive stage of your life and your career, that requires growth. And growth is painful. If you ever try to work out your muscles and try to grow them, you know it's painful. But part of that pain is rejection. And think about how many rejections you will face throughout your search. You're going to go on interviews that you prepped your heart out for and you bomb. You're going to send messages and emails to executives or recruiters and you're not going to hear back from them. You're going to apply potentially to hundreds of jobs and you might get ghosted, or you might not hear back from those, or you might get a thank you but no thank you kind of thing. Heck, people that you thought were your friends that you're reaching out to for help won't help you. These are all the different variations of rejection that you will face. And so one of the things we try to educate our clients on before they ever start anything is just getting used to rejection and knowing that it is the price of entry if you're trying to step into an expansive stage of your life or your career. So that's one thing, right? You're, like I said, you're gonna go through the final stages of the interview process and bomb it, right? But again, by going through all of this rejection, you are not special. You're not an outlier. That's the positive news on this. I've had clients who in 2025 have landed 500k plus roles, 700k plus roles, tons of 200k plus roles. Some of these clients were C-level. Some of these clients were senior executives. Some of these clients had MBAs from some of the best programs you can think of, Wharton, Harvard, etc. All of these people were ghosted at one point or another. All of these people at one point or another went to an interview, got rejected. They bombed these, right? All of these clients had people in their network who they reached out to that never responded to them. People they even knew and considered to be mentors or friends or things like that. So my point is, when you start your search, or if you're going through your search for a 200k to 500k offer, you will deal with a lot of rejection. But if you get used to that, heck, if you actually set your expectations correctly and know that rejection is just a part of it, it is the price of entry, then you can deal with it a lot. And I just want you to know that this pain is otherwise known as discomfort. And one thing I was told by my mentor is that discomfort actually signals progress. Success requires embracing hardships rather than avoiding them. So the more you can get used to this, the easier it will get to handle these things. And this is why I also talk about redefining failure, right? Average people, in my opinion, from what I've seen, think that that failure is the opposite of success. But successful people, entrepreneurs, executives, etc., like the ones you probably admire and some of the ones you aspire to be like, they know that failure is just a prerequisite to success. It's not the opposite of it, it's the prerequisite. It's like part of it. And what does failure actually mean if you think about it? It's just that you're trying something new for the first time, and most of the new things that you've ever tried in the beginning were hard. And so that's failure, right? And the first time you ever tried something that you've never done before, or the 15th time you tried something that you've never done before, maybe you weren't good at it. But that doesn't mean you're a failure. That means you're learning something new. And there's discomfort in learning something new. Each failure, in my opinion, is just a learning experience that is teaching you valuable lessons on how to get better the next time you try that thing. So take interviewing, for example. If you go on an interview and you bomb it, well, there's so much you can learn from that. Some of our clients will record their interviews. If you record an interview and especially if it's one that you bombed, you'll realize that maybe you could have shared a better story. Maybe you could have said something differently. Maybe you didn't take enough time to ask this person that you're interviewing with good questions. There could be so much that you learn from that failure, that I actually think all failures are just learning lessons that help you get better the next time around. So if you can get used to rejections and you can redefine failure, you will persist through this. And when you make it on the other side, You'll be, one, so grateful that you went through it. Two, you'll realize it wasn't as bad as you thought. And three, that you realize you just equipped yourself with a skill set that's going to serve you for years to come. So that's why I'm starting off with this number one harsh truth, which is just get used to rejections and know that they're a part of it, and redefine what you consider failure to be. That's number one. Okay, number two, it's not that you lack confidence. It's actually that you lack clarity. I can confidently tell you that each month I will speak to at least, me personally, at least 30 to 50 job seekers, usually. And some months it's more than that if I'm holding one of my workshops where hundreds of people join. And so many job seekers will tell me that they just don't have confidence. And I always ask them this one very important question, which is, have you ever asked yourself, where does confidence come from? And 9.5 times out of 10, most people don't know how to answer that. They don't know where confidence comes from. And the answer is clarity. You need clarity. It's not that you need confidence. Confidence just comes from clarity. A lot of times, what does clarity look like? I'm going to give you a personal example. Let's say you're watching this video and you're a parent and of kids who are, let's just say, 8 or older, right? I would bet my life savings on the fact that at some point or another you've argued with your kid. And the first few times you argued with them, especially when they were serious, you were probably not good. Or think of an argument with a partner or something like that. But the more you argued with them and the more you understood what resonates with this person, how do they effectively communicate? What do they need to hear? You got better at that thing. So in the beginning, it wasn't that you lacked confidence in your ability to have a productive argument with your kid or your spouse or your partner or whatever. It was you just didn't have clarity because you haven't done it enough. And so the more you say, I lack confidence, the more you disempower yourself to look for solutions, because now you've painted yourself as a victim. But the more you say, I just lack clarity, now you begin looking for solutions. And so that was a personal example, right? The one of the kid and the, or arguing with your kid. But what does that look like professionally? Well, I'll tell you something, and this is something that most job seekers will get wrong that I talk to. The first thing you need to have clarity on in your job search, if you're really trying to go for a 200K to 500K job offer, is clarity on the one role that you are targeting. I see people, especially people who've once worked in consulting or worked at a company for so long, and they did so many different things. They'll look for too many different types of jobs. They'll look for a project manager job, a product manager job, a program manager job, or sometimes they'll look for a sales job and maybe a customer success job or whatever. And I want to let you know something that, again, is a part of this harsh truth, which is today, I'm filming this on July 9th, 2025. We are in a hyper competitive job market, if you haven't noticed, right? And it's an employer-driven market, which just means there's way more applicants, job seekers, than there are jobs. And so the highest paying jobs in a market like this always go to specialists, not generalists. And it's sad, but it's true, which is why you must pick one job to target and then make sure that the job that you are targeting speaks to your strengths, your experiences, your achievements, so that way you know that if you step into that, you would crush that one job. And then once you have clarity on that job, then everything else starts to get clear after that. Like you now know how to write your resume to speak to that job. You now know how to write your LinkedIn profile to speak to that job. You now know how to prep for interviews. Heck, you know what roles to go for. So you'll see the same type of questions coming from one interview to the next to the next. It gives you clarity on so many things, and it allows you to then start knowing what to do better. When you're going for too many different types of things, it becomes really hard to land any of those things. And I'll tell you why. In a hyper competitive market like the one we're in, I just mentioned, there's more job seekers than there are jobs. So now if a company puts out a job description, they open up a job for, let's just say, a director of product management where they're going to pay 250K for this person. It's not a cheap hire, by the way. The second they post it, they're going to have the luxury of receiving applications from 50 to 100 qualified clients, or sorry, applicants, right? These are literally people who have 7, 10, 15 years of experience doing product management at a director level or even higher. So when they have this many options that they can sift through, why would they ever pick somebody who comes across as someone who doesn't know what they want? Someone who hasn't done product management? They don't have to, and they won't. So clarity on the one role to target allows you to do everything that's supposed to come after that so much easier. One of my favorite quotes is, "A man who chases 2 rabbits catches none," and that is so applicable in the job search. So again, just remember, there's going to be literally zero reason in a market like this for an employer to take a chance on someone who's not a specialist, because they have the luxury of not having to do that all along. So getting clear on getting clarity is what you need. It's not confidence, it's clarity. That's harsh truth number 2. And if you are one of those people that I described that has done a lot of different things and you don't know what to go for, inside of our coaching program, there's a very specific exercise we take them through. You may have heard me talk about it before, called a career audit. And it's something that I'm going to link into the comment section of this video. And it's something you can do on your own to help you get that clarity. Okay. So that's where you're going to start, the career audit. That's where all of our clients start, so they get clarity on what role they're going to target. And then we touch the resume. Then we help them with their LinkedIn profile. Then we help them land more interviews for that role. Then we help them prepare. But nothing starts without the career audit. It's that important. And I'm going to link it here again, like I said, in the comment section. Okay. That was harsh truth number 2. Let's go into number 3, which is systems over tips and tricks. Okay. Average people look for tips and tricks, the shortcuts, easy. I will tell you something, and you probably already know this. You can't achieve anything meaningful in life by trying to find tips and tricks. It's always going to come down to the systems you choose to adopt. And the people who are ahead of you, the ones who are landing these job offers, the ones you probably think, hey, they're not any more qualified than me, or maybe the ones that are less qualified than you that are landing these offers, these are all people who knew they just need to find a system to follow, replicate it, get better at it. And that's how they got it. They didn't go through tips and tricks. They are doing it by using proven systems that bring predictable results, and then focusing all of their time and their inputs into following that system correctly. They're not looking for tips and tricks. And you know why tips and tricks don't work? Well, one, when you're looking for tips and tricks, typically you're trying to get them from all over the place. YouTube videos of different types of coaches or different types of experts, LinkedIn, articles, ChatGPT, and you're trying to pull information from all these different sources. And so that information you're getting is scattered, and there's no sequential order in which to follow it. No one's telling you even why to follow it, right? So it's And at some point, it becomes either A, conflicting advice, or B, way too much advice because it's coming from all over the place. And if you don't know how to apply it and why to apply it and where to apply it, then it won't naturally work. To me, trying to look for tips and tricks, in my opinion, is literally like trying to do a 1,000-piece puzzle set without the box cover. Can you do it? Yes, 100%. Will it take forever? Yes, 100%. Will it probably annoy the heck out of you? Yes, 100%. And then is there a chance that you just give up altogether? Yeah, 80%, right? Because you'll get frustrated. You won't know what the heck you're doing. And then you'll have less fun doing it. And now it becomes annoying. And you might just throw it all away. The system, a proven system that brings predictable results, is different. It's the complete opposite of everything. It's literally doing a 1,000-piece puzzle with the box cover first. So now you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it, and you'll have fun because you have clarity, going back to that second point, right? So stop looking for tips and tricks, right? I see that people ask me all the time, hey, I got an interview coming up. What tips can you give me? It's like, dude, there's no tips. There's literally a process that you need to follow and do it well and practice it over and over and over again until you get comfortable and confident. And every time someone I know, at least, has tried to go onto an interview or into an interview trying to pick up some tips and tricks, has bombed it. But when they've learned proven frameworks and systems and then practiced those things and then gotten feedback from either friends or coaches like us, they do well. There's a reason for that. And so if you care to learn about the systems that our clients use, I'm going to link that below in the comments section as well. I'm going to be linking a lot of free resources for you to learn. So none of the stuff that you're going to see below in this video is going to be selling you at all. None of it is, you don't pay for any of it. It's all free. So you'll have it all. And these are some of the resources clients have used in our program as well. So that was harsh truth number 3. Harsh truth number 4. You need to learn how to market yourself. And I don't mean that you need to be a content creator. You don't need to be an influencer. You don't need to be posting on LinkedIn all the time. You don't need to know any of that. But you do need to know how to market yourself on your LinkedIn profile and your resume. Another common yet really damaging mistake I see job seekers make is they don't take advantage of their LinkedIn profile. So some of the mistakes will include they don't have a really strong summary. They don't have a really good header. And then under the companies they've worked for, they'll literally just put their title and the date and then nothing. Or they'll put one bullet of what they did. Or they'll literally just put a small paragraph of what the company does. It's like, heck, dude, I already know what the company does. Or even if I don't care. Hiring managers care to know what the hell did you do? What the hell did you help your company achieve? And in a world like today, again, I'll tell you another harsh truth. I didn't even have this on the list. The people who get the interviews for these 200K to 500K positions are not the ones who are the most qualified. It's not the ones who are the smartest. It's not even the ones who are the most connected. It's the ones who know how to market themselves the best, meaning they know how to write their resume and their LinkedIn profile, and especially their LinkedIn profile, to match the job that they're going after, which now you can understand, hopefully, that it becomes easy to write your resume and your LinkedIn profile if you first had clarity on the one role you're going to target. Therefore, you don't have to write hundreds of different types of resumes. You don't need to change your resume often. Our clients hardly, if ever, change and keep editing their resume or their LinkedIn profile because they're very clear on the one role they're going after, and especially that they're qualified for. And then everything they say on their LinkedIn profile, their resume, speaks to that one thing. And if you want to land 200K to 500K interviews, you will ultimately be reaching out to people, doing outreach. And so like our clients, they spend a lot of their time on outreach, meaning they're learning how to find hiring managers, executives, recruiters that work at the companies they want to target and then message them. But keep in mind, those people they're reaching out to won't respond back unless Their LinkedIn profile speaks to what they need. And here's a really cool way to think about your LinkedIn profile, which is just think of it as one really big digital advertisement that tells the world, hey, world, here's what I've done, here's what I do, here's what I'm good at, here's what I've helped my companies or people achieve, right? That's all LinkedIn profiles are, if you think about it. Yours is, mine is. It just tells you, here's what I do, here's what I've done, here's what my experience is, here's what I've helped my companies achieve. It's just one big digital advertisement. It's mine, yours, everyone we know. So if you agree with me that it is one big digital advertisement, then you have to ask yourself the next logical question, which is, well, then what makes good advertising? And the answer to that is copywriting. Copywriting are the words that go into the ad. So then the next logical question, as you probably guessed, is, well, then what makes good copywriting? And the answer to that is three things. A, do I know who my target audience is? Who am I trying to reach in my advertisement? Do I clearly understand their problems and their pain points? And then can I clearly and concisely articulate that I have solved those pain points in the past, and here's what someone can expect to achieve if they hire me or if they use my product or service, right? Now think about what you're doing on your LinkedIn profile. Once you've gotten clarity on the one role you're going after, and you've probably studied those job descriptions, now you know who your target audience is. You're going for senior level product management roles. You've studied a bunch of job descriptions, so now you know what they're looking for, so you know how to write your resume and what to include on that. And then you can also, because you know what their problems and pain points are, now you know what type of data points to put on your LinkedIn profile that address those things. So it's all about relevance, right? Again, it's just one big digital advertisement. So the person who gets the most interviews, especially 200K to 500K interviews, is not the smartest, not the most well-connected. It's the person who knows how to market themselves the best. And again, as a part of another free resource, one of the resources that I'll link here below is our complete resume and LinkedIn templates. These are pre-written resume templates, pre-written LinkedIn templates that will help you understand how to write your resume and your LinkedIn profile better. Heck, you could literally just use ours, so you don't even have to start from scratch. And you'll see what good enough looks like here, like good marketing looks like. Okay. All right, let's go to number 5. Learn the art of storytelling. And if you don't, then you're going to have a really hard time turning interviews into job offers. And here's why. Data moves the mind. Stories will always move the heart. And there is something called a skill gap effect that happens the higher up you go. So think of it like this. The higher up you go, that company, again, especially in a hyper-competitive market, can interview 10, 15 people. Now, all of those 10, 15 people, including you, are probably going to be really good, meaning all of you are really good at the job you are going after, right? So if all of you are really good, let's just assume all of you are equally as good. And again, these companies have the luxury of interviewing only really qualified people, okay? If all of you are really good, then how do they ultimately decide on who they're going to hire? In the interview process, it's not just about what you say. It's about how you say it, because how you say something is what evokes a feeling. Think about the last great speech you ever heard, or any great speech you've ever heard. What made that speech really good? What allowed it to move you or inspire you? It was not just what the speaker said, was it? It was literally how they said it. And hiring managers, when they are hiring somebody in that 200K to 500K plus range, think of it like this. This is a very expensive hire. And just like or expensive purchase. Just like expensive purchases, it's not just purely logical, is it? It's emotional too. And the emotion that they're looking for, that they don't even know that they're looking for, is trust. Here's how I know that. I've obviously worked with thousands of hiring managers in my life. I've been a hiring manager myself. And you maybe are a hiring manager, have been a hiring manager, or you've certainly heard from a hiring manager once. And there's something hiring managers that do that piss off recruiters so much, and it'll ultimately piss you off. And this is proving the point. Hiring managers will interview somebody really good, and then they'll go to the recruiter and say, I really like this guy, but I want to see a few more. And then the recruiter is like, wait, what? So you like this guy? Hiring manager says, yeah. Then the recruiter says, you thought this guy could do the job? Hiring manager says, yeah. He says, well, then what else are you looking for? And the hiring manager will say, I don't know. I'll just know it when I see it. You have no idea how many times I've heard hiring managers say that. I'll just know it when I see it. Because they don't even know that what they're looking for, honestly, is a feeling. And it's a feeling of trust, right? Because this, again, is a very emotional purchase. It's a 200K to 500K plus job offer. These hiring managers will be thinking of so many things, right? Is this person worth it? Will they make me look smart for hiring them? If I throw them in a room full of executives or clients, are they going to actually do good, deliver? Are they going to represent us well? Are they going to make us look dumb? There's all these, are they going to get along with my team? There's so many different things that they're screening for here that you have to get used to, or that you have to know is all about a feeling, right? So it's the art of storytelling allows you to evoke a feeling of trust, because that's what they're ultimately looking for. And storytelling is the best way to evoke trust. And I'll tell you something. So many clients of ours, before they ever work with us, they would tell us like, yeah, I've been going on so many interviews and they're not working. And I'd say, what have you been doing? They're like, well, I'll chat GPT things. I'll look at different articles. Again, they're looking for tips and tricks, right? And they're like, yeah, I'll chat GPT things. Like the more you, FYI, a chat GPT, they're creating these star format stories for you, and they sound robotic because there literally is a robot writing it. And now you're trying to say that to a hiring manager who's a human. They can sniff this stuff out, again, especially the higher up you go. I'll give you an example of something that was really cool to me. I remember I was helping a client prep one day, and he was going for an interview at Peloton. Like this is when Peloton was crushing it. And I asked him, I said, hey, this company's going to, this hiring manager is going to ask you why Peloton. And I said, so let's prep for that one. I said, why Peloton? And he goes, well, Peloton is such a great mission-driven company. And I from the job description, it looks like you guys foster cross-functional collaboration and you guys are very innovative. And I said, hold on, dude. I said, do you believe what you're saying? He's like, I mean, kinda. I was like, no, do you really believe it? Is that really why you want to work at Peloton? Because they're a cross-functional collaboration and mission-driven? He's like, not really. I mean, he's like, well, I said, so why Peloton? And he thought about it for a minute. And he's like, okay, well, the truth really is when I met my girlfriend, who was his fiance at the time, now when I was prepping him, he's like, when I met my fiance, but at the time she was my girlfriend, she was a fitness trainer at Equinox, and she was incredibly in shape, and she took health and wellness seriously. And when I met her, I was out of shape. I was actually overweight, and she used to ask me to go on hikes with her. And in the beginning, I would actually lie and make up an excuse for not going on a hike because I just was embarrassed about the potential of like maybe not being able to keep up with her or her being turned off by me and all these different insecurities, right? And ultimately, he came clean and told her, here's why I'm not doing it. And she was super responsive or understanding. She helped him put together a diet plan, a workout plan. She would work out with him, and she was just helping him get back into shape. And when he and I were prepping, now they're not boyfriend, girlfriend, they're actually, fiance, or whatever, they're engaged. Um, he was in incredible shape. And he's like, how I feel about myself today is the best feeling I've ever felt because I'm in just massive shape. I know how hard it was to get here. And I want other people to experience that. And so I believe actually in Peloton's mission. I said, dude, that's your story. ChatGPT could never have created that for you. And it was a story that was real, that was authentic, that was vulnerable. And those are the things people remember you by. So the art of storytelling is really important. There's a framework, there's multiple frameworks that make storytelling easier when you're going on interviews. There's the car mechanic framework, there's Batman versus Superman, there's something called problem, pain, solution, glory. And in the comment section below, I'm going to link a resource that covers all of these, okay? Or it might be a couple resources. So it's how do you tell stories in an interview that makes you come across natural, not cringy, not salesy, and still evokes a feeling of trust with the hiring manager. Okay? All right. That was the fifth harsh truth, which is learn the art of storytelling if you're going for 200K to 500K offers. Let's go to the next one. Number 6, fear versus regret. If you went on LinkedIn right now, you will find an endless supply of people posting about how they just lost their job, how their companies just laid them off, how the job market sucks, how recruiters are horrible, how these job descriptions are fake. It's all negative news, right? And what this does with it, most likely, is it impacts your subconscious and it triggers all of your fear patterns. And sometimes it does it consciously, and you know this is what's happening. And what that does is it starts tricking you into believing that all of these people who are qualified, who are complaining, can't get roles, then why would you? So when you start questioning your own ability because of other people's experience, that can trigger you to not even go for it at all or go half-ass. And the more you say, how can I do this? Or I can't do this, the more you start creating your self-fulfilling prophecy. But this is where you have to pause and remind yourself of something really important. And that is the change, like what we talked about before, all the discomfort you're going to feel, this new expansive season you're trying to go after is scary. Pain is scary, but so is regret. And the life you live depends on the one you fear the most. Do you fear pain, or do you fear fear itself, or do you fear regret? The more successful version of you and any successful person you know, they also have fears. For this to work, this job search to work, your fear of regret has to be bigger than your fear of rejection. Let me say that again. Your fear of regret has to be bigger than your fear of rejection. I just like all of our clients and the people we brag about all the time on my LinkedIn profile, all the case studies we share. If I all the time, like, what am I trying to say? If I look back, I know there were so many moments in time where I almost crippled myself from paralysis analysis, fear of rejection, fear of failure. And the only thing that maybe helped me keep going was that I knew if I looked back and didn't do that thing and I didn't go for whatever I wanted, that I would regret it. I would be ashamed by it. And I would even be ashamed to tell people I love about it. If I didn't try, I would be ashamed. And again, this is where fear of regret has to be bigger than the fear of rejection. I knew that I would regret not putting myself in a position for me to succeed because of how important it was to support my family and my kids. You know, I live in a really good home now. I have more money than I need. If I didn't work for many years, I would be just fine. But again, it wasn't always this way, right? I'd been laid off multiple times. By the time I started my first business, I'd never made more than 40 something $1,000. I was in severe amounts of debt. My parents grew up very lower class. My parents filed for bankruptcy, which ultimately led to their divorce. I mean, there were so many things that made me feel like I was a failure and I would never reach a level of abundance. And all of that stuff that I saw growing up, I experienced growing up, played a big factor into the things I chose to do and not do. And I always played it safe. But when I was actually playing it safe, or when I thought I was playing it safe, I was actually playing it small. And as a result of that, my self-confidence suffered. My bank account definitely suffered. My growth suffered. And I wasn't able to show up the way I knew I wanted to. It wasn't until I had a mentor who told me something that was super cool. This was right before I started my first business. And again, mind you, up until that point in 2012, I had not achieved any sort of material success. My career was kind of whatever. I had just met my wife, who was at that time my girlfriend. All of her family was telling her, like, what are you doing with this guy? He's not successful, blah, 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 blah. She was also a teacher. And so you know how teachers don't make anything. And at that point, I had made nothing. And so I was just ashamed. And so I'm deciding now that I want to start this company. And I was so freaking scared to do it. So freaking scared. And at the time I was a recruiter. I remember I was talking to my mentor and I was just telling him all the reasons I don't think I was going to do it. And he said to me, he's like, let me ask you a question. What is the worst case scenario? What's your worst case scenario? If you try this and it doesn't work, what's the worst case scenario? And he said, I guess, or I said rather, I guess I would just end up taking another job, going back to being a recruiter. Like, and he's like, well, you're a recruiter now, right? And I said, yeah. He's like, so then how does it feel to be living your worst case scenario? And that was huge. And that's when I knew I should just go for it. Because yes, I do have a backup plan, but it's a backup plan I don't even want. And that company, it was challenging. All of that stuff I'd gone through, it only amplified those fears when we had lost $760,000 within the first 16 months because we made so many dumb decisions. And those fears were louder, getting louder and louder. But again, so many things ended up going our way that, and I won't get into those today, which is what grew that company to 81 employees in 9 different cities all across the US, 72 million in revenue, and later got acquired. And that is what gave me all of the income after that sale to then give myself a ton of options and pick and choose what I wanted to do. I knew I was set. And then that's what allowed me to get my first executive job, one of the youngest executives of a publicly traded company, made 7 figures there, made 7 figures at the startup that they owned. And now my wealth was growing and I could provide for my family in ways I never could before. So your fear of regret has to be bigger than your fear of rejection. That's harsh truth number 6. Okay, let's go to number 7. Public victories are always the byproduct of private wins. A public victory is, I'm so thrilled to announce that I just landed a VP of software development at XYZ company. That's a LinkedIn post. That's a public victory. And then you'll see thousands of people support that, right? But public victories are always the byproduct of private wins, which are the things that you do in quiet that allow you to speak loudly later. Another way to put this is the next time you see somebody who has what you want, stop being envious of the things that they have and start obsessing over how they got it. So stop being envious or obsessing over what people have that you want and start being obsessive about how they got it. And every single person I know who landed life-changing job offers in our program, like the 900K offers, the multiple 500K offers, the first-time executive, the person who got their first promotion, all of those people who landed life-changing offers were always doing the things in quiet that most people avoid or are scared of doing in private, right? And most of that stuff that these people who landed these types of life-changing offers are doing are boring, they're mind-numbing, they're getting rejected left and right, such as they're sending messages and not hearing back. They're prepping for interviews, they go on the interview, they get bombed. They apply for a role, they get the automatic rejection. And they're just doing more of these things, they're just getting more reps in. So the next time that you see someone who has what you want, stop thinking they got lucky. Stop being envious of them. Stop thinking they are special. They are not smarter than you. They are not special. They're probably not even as qualified as you in some cases. They're just the ones who focused on securing as many private wins as possible that allowed them to then one day share their public victory. Okay. So it's your biggest competitor, in my opinion, isn't anyone else except for the mediocre version of you. Let me say that again. Your biggest competitor isn't anyone else except for the mediocre version of you. Katie McIntyre, my business partner, once said, "What if hell is just you sitting there spending eternity looking at the person you could have become and the life you could have lived if you just weren't scared, if you didn't just play small, if you weren't afraid of failure, if you just went for the thing you had the potential of doing? What if that's hell?" And then, so that was a really powerful quote. And another powerful quote I heard, I think Alex Hormozy said this, was, "All of the magic you are hoping to attain is on the other side of the things you're avoiding doing." So this harsh truth number 7 is public victories are always a byproduct of private wins. The more private wins you rack up, the things you do in quiet when no one's looking, the resilience, all that stuff is what leads to public victories. Okay. I'm going to go into number 8 now, and then we'll wrap it up with the last 2. It may not be your fault, but it's still your problem. So stop thinking you are special. Stop playing the victim game. Stop focusing on things you can't control. Every day, every single day on LinkedIn, I see people bashing recruiters. I see people bashing the interview process. I see people whining about how they got laid off. Right? I see people complaining that, "Oh my God, I just went on 6 rounds and then I didn't get the job. Why would they put me through that?" They're playing the victim card. It's all about me, me, me. All these companies and all these people are doing things to me, 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 me. And you know what's interesting is the things that you're complaining about, most of those things you have every right to complain about it, right? You're probably right about the thing you're complaining about, but complaining about it does nothing other than give your power away to somebody else. Because unless you are planning to build a company or a product or an app or a service or go work for a company that solves the things you're complaining about, unless you're going to do that, then it makes no sense to complain about it because there's nothing you can do about it. So again, It may not be your fault that you got laid off. It may not be your fault that you got ghosted. It may not be your fault that you prepped your heart out, went on this job interview and didn't get the offer. None of that may be your fault, but it is your problem to deal with. And the best way to deal with it is learning how to keep getting better, which means getting clarity, which means resilience, fear of rejection versus fear of failure. All that rejection, failure stuff we talked about, this is what this means. Learning from all of those things and getting clear on what to do next and what to do better. If you keep wearing the victim uniform, you will end up feeling disempowered. And then the more you let your feelings get impacted or affected by someone or something that you can't control, the easier it is for you to get all worked up over things you can't control. Someone cuts you off, you get worked up. Someone rejects you, you get worked up. Someone ghosts you, you get worked up. See how you're giving your power away? Instead of complaining, start obsessing over how someone does something, which is what gives you clarity. Okay. Something I'll tell you that's really cool is vagueness, fear. The funny thing about fear is that it doesn't actually exist in clarity. It only exists in vagueness, in the vague. It's again, when people don't know what to do, people don't know why to do it, people don't know how to do it. That's when fear starts kicking in, right? Fear is just basically, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. I don't know why to do it. I don't know what I don't know. And so I'm living in so much vagueness, so much ambiguity. And this is what leads people to start going and looking for tips and tricks. And this is what leads people to making very irrational decisions. This is what leads people to start chasing lower level roles, start settling, ultimately get those roles, and then start that role unhappy. Now they're making less than they used to. And now they feel shittier about themselves. This is what happens when you don't have clarity. But fear can't exist when there's specificity and there's clarity. Because now you know what to do, you know why to do it, you know it resonates with you, you know how to do it, all of it. And now you just have to get better at doing the thing. But at least you know you're going off of something that works and it's proven. This is why all of the things I've said before this are in sequential order, right? Getting clarity on the one role, marketing yourself, interviewing, learning the art of storytelling, all of this matters. So if you have clarity on that, and again, all the resources I link below will give you way more clarity and it's for free, the easier it will become to actually achieve the thing you want. Okay? So it's not your problem, or sorry, it's not your fault, but it is your problem. All right. This next one is the harsh truth number 9 is once you learn to trade your expectations for appreciation, your life will become magical. When you trade expectations for appreciation, your life becomes magical. I'll give you a real story that explains this. And it's just as true in this story as it is in the job search. If you're in the job search, if you're constantly expecting people to get back to you, if you're expecting job offers, if you're expecting someone to help you, if you're expecting people they want to interview you and you don't get those things, again, it can shake you up. But when you simply just appreciate what you have every single day and you operate from a place of gratitude, there's science that explains this. So I'm not even going to try. But when you're operating from a place of gratitude, you tend to attract better things into your life. I had, or if you don't know me, if you've never heard my story, I was born in Sudan, which is now actually called North Sudan. And my entire dad's side of the family lived in Sudan. And I didn't go back there. I was born there in 1983. I didn't go back there until 2016. And this was the first and last time I ever saw everyone there, including my grandmother, whom I loved. Um, I had like 70 something members in Sudan. And a couple years ago, I think it was 2022 or 2023, South Sudan invaded North Sudan. And my entire family who was there, my 70 something family members, some of these people owned schools, some of these people went to school, some of these people owned different businesses, some of these people worked at different companies, some of these people, obviously all of them had homes. In a matter of 24 to 48 hours, their businesses were destroyed or looted, those schools were burned down, their homes were broken into, and India came in really fast and really last second and said to a lot of people in North Sudan, including my family members, you have less than 24 hours to evacuate. We're going to fly one of those huge military type cargo planes out this morning at 3 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something like that. You got to get there and you can go to and find asylum in India. And I remember our cousins were sending us WhatsApp pictures of them boarding this plane. I've shared this many times before. And then all of a sudden, we just didn't hear from them for like 2-3 days. And me and my dad and my mom here in the States were going crazy, right? Because we couldn't hear from them. We didn't know if they had died, if they'd been kidnapped, if they'd been intruded. Like we didn't know. And then anyway, 3 days later, we finally get a video call. My uncle is doing a video call through WhatsApp to my dad, and I'm standing there and we pick up. And what we see is my uncle with this biggest smile. They're all in India. A lot of my family members behind him are like goofing off and laughing and joking around. And I lost my shit, right? Because over here, I'm sitting here freaked out. I'm like pissed off that all this stuff just happened to them. And so I asked him, I said, how the hell? I didn't speak Arabic. That's what my uncle spoke. My dad spoke Arabic. So I asked him, I was like, ask, him, why the heck he's so happy? Shouldn't he be pissed? And so my dad asked him that. And he said something back in Arabic, which I'll translate in English. He said to me, he's like, why would I be upset? Everything that makes me happy is here in this room. The people I love, my son, my daughter, my cousins, whomever, plus my air, the air in my lungs. And he said, the more you keep focusing on what you don't have, the easier it becomes to not appreciate what you do have. And I realized something when he said that is like, this is actually why people stay in a perpetual state of sadness or fear, anger, all the things that cause you to make a very irrational decision or decisions, because you keep focusing on what you don't have. You keep comparing yourself to other people. You're not appreciative of the fact that you woke up today. The things that you have in your life, you're taking for granted. Your family, your friends, your loved ones, the roof over your head, water, right? Which is why when you operate from a place of gratitude, it is really hard to live an unhappy life. So a lot of unhappiness is constantly tied to expectations and entitlement, right? So when you trade your expectations for appreciation, you end up living a magical life. And that is harsh truth number 9. And then this leads me to the last and most final thing is, you can have the best strategy in the world. And again, I'm going to link the one below that you can check out. That's the system we use for our clients. If it resonates with you, feel free to use it. If it doesn't, no worries. But you can have the best strategy in the world, but without a positive mindset, you're not going to go very far. Because the positive mindset, the gratitude, all the things, the strategy, the clarity, all of that is what allows you to keep persisting. But a bad mindset will sabotage you or end your journey faster than it started. A long time ago, I came across something called the belief equation. And the belief equation is essentially this diagram of a triangle. And at the top of the triangle, there's the word belief. And then the next, when you go down, the next word on the next angle or point or corner, whatever, is called actions. And then the next point is called results. And then that's how it closes the triangle. And what it says is what you choose to believe directly impacts the actions that you will take. And the actions that you will take directly impact the results that you will get. And the results that you will get reinforce your original belief. It's a powerful equation I learned about. And think of this, it makes so much sense, right? Let's just take a simple example of a diet or trying to get into shape, right? Someone challenges you to take on this new diet and get in the best shape of your life. And you've never been in great shape in your life. So now you tell yourself, I'm happy to try this, but I've never been able to get in shape before. I can't see why that's going to change now. So you're already starting this project of you getting in the best shape of your life with a half-assed belief, aren't you? So what's going to happen? So maybe the first few days or maybe the first few weeks even, you start doing this diet. But now the moment something comes in the way, like life, right? You had a hard day at work or you didn't get to work out. You ended up eating some junk food. So you skipped the gym. Or you got sick. So you skipped the gym. And so then you're like, screw it. Let me just have some French fries. Let me have some pizza. Let me have some, red velvet cupcakes or something. All of my favorites. And so now you skip the gym and you ate like shit. And then you're like, you know what? I already missed yesterday. It's okay if I miss today. I'll go again next week or something. So now 2-3 days in a row, you start eating like shit. You start missing the gym. And then you keep continuing this. You're like, well, what's the point now? And then what happens? You just had half-ass actions, didn't you? Half-ass belief, half-ass actions. Half-ass actions lead to half-assed results or no results. So now what do you tell yourself? I knew I couldn't get into good shape. I knew I'd never be able to accomplish this. I knew this wasn't for me. I knew I shouldn't even have tried this, right? Your half-assed belief led to half-assed actions, which led to half-assed results, which then reinforced your original half-assed belief. This is why the best strategy in the world doesn't work. 80% of this whole success to land a 200K to 500K job offer or anything meaningful in your life, 80% of it's strategy, 20% of it is mindset. But that 20% accounts for 80% of the success you will hopefully achieve. It's a powerful 20%. So strategy without mindset, a positive mindset, not some woo-woo crap, some science. Strategy without a positive mindset, a resilient mindset, a growth mindset is the fastest way to sabotaging achieving your dreams and living a very mediocre life. So those are your 10 harsh truths to landing a 200K to 500K job offer in the tech industry. And if you apply these, you are going to go farther than you think. And you're probably a lot closer than you think just by adopting these 10 harsh truths that will give you an unfair advantage in the job search today. So I'm Gaurav Villani, founder of Career Sprout. Just wanted to say thank you again if you made it all the way through. And I'll see you in our next video. And make sure you check out the comment section below to see all of those different free resources that I referenced in this video too. Take care.